What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 16, Daughter of the Bride. And the daughter of the bride is Vivian. So in this episode, we get to meet Lily's 27-year-old daughter, Vivian. Vivian is an actress, I think in Beijing, very beautiful girl. So she comes to visit her mother and to also meet Josh for the very first time. And when she comes to the house, I think she's introduced. Was Josh there? I don't know if Josh was there or not, but at some point Josh left. So in the house, it was just Vivian and her mother Lily. So Lily gives her daughter a tour of the house, and then they start having a conversation about Lily and Josh's relationship. Now, what I like about Vivian is that she does not beat around the bush. She does not mince her words at all. She is very clear and concise on how she feels about Josh, and she does not like Josh at all. She thinks that Josh is a freeloader. She thinks that Josh is just using her mother. He's a cheater, and that he really doesn't care for her mother. She talks about how there was a time when Lily was really needing emotional support, and she couldn't even turn to Josh for that. She had to turn to her own daughter. And Vivian tells her mom, "You had a whole husband, but you were coming to me for emotional support instead of going to Josh." So Vivian says that her mother is very love struck about Josh, like she's just blinded by love, that she's willing to put up with any kind of crap. Now, in this episode, we get to see that Josh really is full of crap. He really truly is. If anybody was giving Josh the benefit of the doubt about anything, it has to end with this episode here. So while they're having a conversation, we find out that Josh was seeing another woman while he was still living in America. And I think he was still having a relationship with Lily, but he began seeing another woman from Vietnam. He even went as far as to change his profile picture to him and this other woman. He was posting pictures of him and this other woman. So when Lily asked about it, like, who is this woman? He told her that this was a friend of his that had passed away, and these were like tribute pictures. Coming to find out, the lady did not die. She was alive and kicking, and it was a bull-faced lie. So he was basically hiding a whole relationship behind Lily's back. So because he was really remorseful and, did the whole apology thing, Lily went ahead and took him back. Vivian says that she would not, if she was her mother, she would not have taken Josh back. She would have kicked him to the curb and left him there. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so this man, now we're finding out that Josh, possibly or allegedly had cheated on Lily. He's cheating on her. His bank account, like I said before, stays on E. It's on E. There's no money in the bank account because he doesn't help her financially. If he does have money, he's not willing to help her out financially. He doesn't sleep with her. There's no bedroom activity between them at all whatsoever. Like, what is he doing for her? What does Lily see in Josh? What does she see in him? They're constantly arguing. They can never agree on anything. Like this whole wedding, for example. They're each blaming each other for coming up with this idea to have a second wedding. And I'm just like, what does she see in Josh? What does she see in him? Like, what is he doing for her? So later on, Vivian, Lily, Josh, and Josh's brother Jared, they all meet up for dinner. And Vivian asks Josh, "Is this your first time in China?" And he's like, "Yes, this is my first time and I love it." And then Vivian says, "Do you love China or do you love my mom?" I mean, she got to it real quick. She's like, "We're not wasting any time here. We're going to get to the bottom of things quickly." So Josh, you could tell from the look on his face that he kind of took offense to that. And he was like, "Well, of course I love your mother." So then Vivian immediately goes into this Vietnamese woman that he was seeing behind Lily's back. And I think the brother started that conversation by asking Vivian, the daughter, "Do you have any questions?" Knowing that they are like, they're going to be living together. Josh is here now. He's here to stay. "Do you have any questions?" And so the daughter was like, "Yeah, what's up with the Vietnamese woman? Like, what's tea on that? Let's talk about the Vietnamese woman." So Josh immediately was like on the defensive. Like you could tell his body kind of like, tensed up a little bit. You can tell from the expression on his face that he was getting really pissed off. So Josh says that him and Lily were at the time, they were arguing, they were constantly breaking up, the relationship wasn't going well, and so he decided to seek companionship elsewhere. So then when Lily had seen the picture of Josh and this Vietnamese woman, he had told her that, hey, it was my best friend that died, and I'm just posting pictures, I guess, showing my respect or paying tribute to my friend that died. But that ended up being a lie. And Vivian, the daughter, was like, yeah, but you told my mom that your friend had passed away, but you lied to her. Your friend had not died. And so then Josh automatically gets on the defensive. Like, he was already on the defensive, but he gets on the defensive even more. And he deflects and he turns to Lily and he was like, but you're seeing someone else too. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about right now, Josh. We're talking about you and the Vietnamese woman and the fact that you told Lily that this woman had died, and that's the reason why you're posting pictures. Like, what is that all about? Can we get the real, true story about that? But instead, he wanted to deflect and wanted to put some blame on Lily, which to me is a very immature and cowardly way to argue. It's like, well, if we are talking about this particular topic of why you did this very specific thing, you completely ignore the question and you're like, but you did wrong too, you're bad too. That's a very immature way of arguing. Stand 10 toes down with what you did, take accountability for what you did, or at the very, very least, if you don't want to do that, let's stick to the topic at hand. So he's like, well, you were seeing somebody else too. Well, Lily, the way she explained it, from what I could gather, and like I said, it was very confusing for me to pay attention to what was going on, when and where, because the timeline, I don't know what the timeline is. So Lily said, yes, I was seeing someone else when we had broken up. We were not together. So I started seeing somebody else. But then when you came back into my life, when Josh slithered back into her DMs, she wanted to pick things up again with Josh. And so she was no longer seeing the other guy. She was like, you know what? I'd rather be with Josh now that he's back in my life, because I've known him the longest. Like Captain Lee says on Below Deck, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. So she decided to stick with Josh. And so she was trying to say, we were broken up, I was moving on with somebody else, but then you came back to me and I wanted to be with you. And so then Josh was like, but I still saw messages in your phone or whatever from this guy. And why were you keeping these messages? So I didn't understand like what that was all about. Are you saying that you're upset that she kept messages? Or are you saying that she was still messaging this guy when she supposedly had reconciled with you? So Lily is like, she's portraying it as, I kept the messages. I'm a romantic type of person. And I was just keeping them because, I don't know, for whatever reason, she kept the messages. She tried to explain to her daughter that it was like her keeping a diary or a journal, I guess, of her life. I don't know. And so Josh turned this all around to make it seem like Lily was the one at fault. Lily was doing bad too. Lily was hiding information and sneaking around just as much as I was. And I really, really cannot stand that, because it doesn't matter. You still did your wrong. You still did your dirt. You know what I'm saying? So when the conversation turned to Lily and this other American man that she was talking to, Josh kind of like ran with that, and he made sure that they stayed on that topic and didn't bring up the Vietnamese woman anymore. So Lily looked at Josh and she said, you're a very, very, very terrible person, because I really do think that when she was seeing this other guy, it was because things had ended with her and Josh. And I think that Josh was seeing this other woman when him and Lily still had something going on. Because I don't know why, the reason why I think that is because he lied about this woman even being alive. If it was really innocent and he had really broken everything off with Lily and it was really over and he was moving on to somebody else and he was posting pictures of him and his new girlfriend, why would he have to lie and say that the woman was dead and he was just basically posting tribute pictures? So Josh became more defensive, and then he was like, telling the daughter Vivian, this is between me and your mom, stay out of it. This is just between me and Lily. And then the brother jumped in, and the brother was like, Josh, like, man, what's wrong with you? Can you please show a little bit of respect? Um, I asked Lily, excuse me, I asked Vivian if she had any questions. She did. She asked. So, you need to like answer these questions and direct your answers to her. This is not about you attacking Lily, this is about you giving clarification to her daughter who still had questions about things that happened in the past. Because, this is her daughter and she's very protective of her mom. So Josh was like, well, I'm making this about me and Lily. This is not about you. This is not about Viven. This is about, and it was just like, Josh. So now I'm like, Lily, run, get away from this. This is not good. This is absolutely not good. I don't know what you see in this man. He doesn't have any money. He's not satisfying you in any kind of way. He's extremely aggressive. He does like have this, I don't know, anger issue or a temper or something, because apart from this whole thing with the Vietnamese woman and lying about this woman being dead when she wasn't, apart from all of that, okay, his reaction to that is scary. It was kind of scary. Because his eyes were like bulging out of his head. And he was like, with his body language, the way he kind of like turned towards Lily, like he was like trying to cut off everybody else. And he was trying to like isolate her. And he was very like intimidating. He came off as extremely intimidating. And I really felt bad. I felt bad. I felt worried. I was in fear of Lily because this man was coming off with a lot of aggression when it looked like he felt like he got caught doing something wrong and he didn't want to fess up to it. And for him to tell the daughter, I knew that you were going to try to destroy our marriage. What does that? The girl was just having questions. She just had a question about this Vietnamese woman. You're the one that's trying to destroy your marriage by being extremely defensive, by deflecting, and by basically cheating on Lily with this other woman and then lying about it. That's what's destroying your marriage, not Vivian asking questions. It was bad. It was bad. I mean, Josh is just looking worse and worse and worse and worse. It was bad. And once again, Lily, please answer my question. What do you see in this man? He ain't doing nothing for you. Not a damn thing. You can't say that, you know, oh, it's because, the sex is out of this world. You can't say, oh, it's because he has a lot of money and he's taking care of me. You can't say, oh, it's because, we just get along so good and he makes me laugh. And, you can't say none of that because when y'all are together, y'all are arguing. Um, Nothing else is going on in the bedroom. Nothing is going on financially. You're the one struggling taking care of both of y'all. I don't know. I have no idea what you see in this man and why you want to keep him around. Let's move on to James and Matalia. So James, Matalia, and Matalia's parents, they are going for like a food tasting at a caterer, trying to figure out what to serve for the wedding because they're having a second wedding in Indonesia. It's going to be big, it's going to be grand, it's going to be completely out of budget. Because James and Matalia have a certain budget for their wedding, but her parents they've taken over. And now this wedding is like ballooning into something that James is not going to be able to afford. So they're doing a food tasting. And it was at this point that Matalia tells us, I forgot to mention this, Matalia tells us that there's going to be 3,000 people just from her father's side of the family. 3,000 people? How? I mean, is he inviting an entire city? Wow. Okay, so while they're doing the food tasting, James decides to bring up the issue of whether or not they're going to have children. So James, he starts off by saying, and Matalia is translating. He starts off by saying that the state of the world, with all the stuff going on in the world. Anytime somebody starts off their reasoning or justification for not having children with, oh, because of the state of, it's just don't pay attention. Don't pay attention to that because the state of the world has always been and will always be problematic. There has never been a utopia. There has never been where the whole world was just in complete paradise and everything was perfect and everybody was getting along and loving each other. That has never happened. Since the beginning of time, there have been issues in the world. There's war, there's poverty, there's pollution, there's all kinds of stuff happening, all kinds, and they've been happening and they will always happen. So you cannot use that as an excuse to not have children because people are having children in the best of times, in the worst of times, in great environments and horrible environments. Babies are coming left and right. So, and people are raising their children and their children are growing up and they're becoming adults and they're surviving and they're living. So stop with the whole state of the world. excuse for not having kids. Just say, I don't want to be bogged down with the responsibility of a child or children. I like being child free. I like the fact that I don't have to worry about anyone else other than me and my wife. I like the fact that we can just get up and go and do whatever the hell we want to do, and we don't have to lug children along with us. I like the fact that we don't have to worry about someone else other than ourselves. That to me makes more sense. And that to me is much more believable than start, oh, the state of, because of the world, because of the pollution and all the wars. Stop. So the parents are like, we don't care about none of that. We want y'all to have children. And James tells them, well, what if I just don't want to have kids? It's just something that I don't want to do. And the parents say, well, a marriage without children is empty. Natalia starts crying. And I realized that ever since we've been watching this show, Natalia cries in every single episode. So James says that maybe if their finances become a lot better and if they start making more money or whatever, they're more financially stable, he will consider having children. This is what he tells the parents and Natalia. But in his confessional, he says, I don't think I'll ever change my mind about not having kids. He doesn't want children, and that's perfectly okay. That's okay to not want to have kids. It's fine. There's nothing, you're not a bad person or anything like that. It's just not for you. Maybe you can love on other people's children, on your nieces and nephews and whatnot, but you just don't want to have your own. Perfectly fine, perfectly okay. Please tell Natalia that. Please tell the parents, look, I don't want children. I am not going to want to have children. So Natalia can either stick it out with him or she can move on to somebody else who does want to have a family. I don't know what else to say. But to stay together and constantly have this argument about whether or not we're going to have kids, it's not healthy. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about James and Natalia. I don't know what to say. He might change his mind, he might not, but if she decides to stay with him, if Natalia decides to stay with James, thinking that one day he's going to change his mind, then she should not bring up children ever again. Just enjoy the moment, enjoy being child free with your husband until the day comes he decides that he wants to have kids. Just don't bring it up anymore. Let it go. And I know that, the parents are, this is their tradition. This is what, tell your mom and dad, please don't bring up children with my husband. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to talk about it. It's ruining my marriage talking about it. So just leave it alone. Maybe one day he'll change his mind. Otherwise, Natalia, move on to somebody who does want to have children. Let's move on to Dempsey and Statler. So they are still in France. And after 2 weeks of being off from work, Statler is starting work again. So it's her first day at work and she can't connect because there's no Wi-Fi. Her adapter won't fit into the wall. She's having all kinds of technical issues. So she wants Dempsey to go and get her an adapter that's going to plug into their outlet in their van. And Statler's like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. So I'll go in a minute. Statler gets really upset. She's like, well, if I don't have these things, then I'm not going to be able to work. And, she's very passive aggressive with it. So finally Dempsey gets up and she rides into town on her bicycle. And I guess she was really pissed off at Statler for sending her out because Dempsey's thing was she had 2 weeks to make sure that she had her equipment together. She had 2 weeks to make sure that whatever she needed for work was going to be working on her first day back. But she didn't do any of that. She decides to wait until the morning that she is supposed to log in to start, discovering that she's got all these technical issues. So Dempsey was like over it. So she decided to mosey on into town and she was going to make an adventure of it. She was going to make a trip out of it. She was just going to go to the store and come back. She was like, no, I'm going to go on a gondola. I'm going to go sightseeing. I'm going to go take pictures while Statler is back at the van trying to log into work. Dempsey was like, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to rush for her. So she finally gets the stuff that's needed. 2 hours later, she comes back to the van, gives Statler whatever she needed. And then now she's cooking dinner. It's later on in the evening. She's making dinner. And Statler tells Dempsey that, look, because of the fact that this didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. She says because of the fact that she couldn't log in, I don't know if she was able to log in at all or because she logged in late, but whatever time she wasted, now she's going to have to make it up. So now she's going to have to work every single day for the next 30 days. I was like, how much? Like, what? Because you either missed a whole day, maybe 8 hours, I'm assuming, at least 8 hours, or because you missed a couple of hours, you're going to have to work for 30 days straight without an off day. That didn't make any sense to me, but I don't know what she does for a living. So I'm just going to have to take her word for it. So then Dempsey has a moment. She, starts crying, and she's crying because of the fact that she had this vision that van life with Statler was going to be unicorns and roses, right? It was going to be this wonderful, happy moment. They were going to be enjoying each other every single day. They're going to be happy. It was going to be this great, fantastic paradise adventure. She had no idea that she was stuck with Miss Doom and Gloom. Miss Doom and Gloom with a sprinkle of anxiety. She had no idea. So she's upset because she's used to doing things at her own time and not being told what to do and not having to share her space. Like if she wants to go take a shower, she'll go take a shower. If she feels like going to bed, she'll go to bed. But now her bed is Statler's office. So she can't go to bed until Statler's done with work. She can't take a shower when so it's all these things that are piling up, and she's realizing that this is probably going to be a disaster, a complete and utter disaster. And then on the other hand, Statler feels like she's being used by Dempsey because Dempsey didn't take it seriously, all the technical issues that she was having logging into her job. She wasn't freaking out as much as she was. Dempsey wasn't freaking out as much as she was. She wasn't panicking. And here Statler's like, well, if I can't log in and I don't make any money and we're not going to eat or we're going to be destitute, I need to log in. But we know in real life they broke up. So this didn't last long. This too shall pass. Moving on to Shakina and Sarper. After 3 hours of surgery, Shakina is done. She comes out of surgery. After 3 hours, Shakina comes out of surgery. And, Sarper is taking care of her and whatnot. And she's really impressed by how he's taking care of her. And I'm like, what else is he going to do? Any decent human being is going to want to take care of you. I mean, did you think that he was just going to sit there and just look at you and not help you drink your juice and not help you walk around? Like, if that's what you thought he was going to do, then I don't know if this is the man for you, Shakina. But of course, he was going to get up and help her, drink her juice from the straw. And I don't for her to be like shocked and amazed. Oh my God, Sarper was actually helping me. You make him look like a real a-hole, and you make us wonder why you're with him. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.